house. Michael Trent's also in the house. And we have yet another amazing group coming in. And with that, from the Hollywood Times, I am very happy to bring in Teri. Teri. I'm going to hand over the microphone, make sure all the other microphones are on, and here you go.
Thank you. Okay, thanks so much for being here. This is going to be, I think, a fruitful panel, and we're excited to be sharing our wisdom. So I want to bring out Nancy Collet, R.C. Samo, and Larry Laboe. Thank you for Dances with Films for making this conversation possible. Also, we're hosted by the Hollywood Times. We cover arts, culture, and entertainment, mostly in Hollywood, Los Angeles, and Southern California, but we do have hubs outside in different states. We are a nonprofit, and we support emerging artists, so we catch you on your way up and spread the word. Let's talk about who our panel is. Nancy, you go ahead, and then Larry and RC, let us know what you do, how'd you get here, and what you offer.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Nancy Collet. I've been working for Cinema Collet for about 25 years, but prior to that, I got my start as a festival programmer. I was working for the AFI Film Festival as the head of programming. I was there for 10 years, and then I started my own consulting company. And in my company, I do a combination. I still do some festival programming for some regional festivals around the world, but then most of my work is helping filmmakers with film festival strategy. So they finish a film and they realize they don't know where to go, how to get into Dances with Films or other festivals like this. So I help them figure that out and put together a strategy, apply to festivals, advocate for them, and support them at the festivals themselves.
Well, I'll start with friend of Nancy and Leslie of Dances with Films, and big fan of Dances with Films, but I'm Larry Laboe. I'm the co-founder and executive director at NewFilmmakers LA. Hopefully we have some alumni in this room. Okay, awesome. And some maybe members in the room. But we're a nonprofit organization. We've been around since 2000. I always start to say 2007, which is crazy. We'll celebrate 18 years in July, which is next month. And we support independent filmmakers from all around the globe. Like Leslie and Dances with Films, we also have a festival, but our festival is a monthly festival, so we play under 20 on average titles a month to play about 240 films a year, approximately 200 to 210 are shorts, and anywhere from 30 to 40 are features every year. And we have a bunch of other programs and things that we do throughout the year, like our new narratives program, which is actually going to be opening in the next month. So if you have a new project, that gives small grants of $5,000. Last year we gave a total of $25,000, so $5,000 grants to projects in various stages of production, from development to post-production. We have a TV writers program that we do in partnership with Stars for people that are looking to get staffed as writers for television, and advocacy and a number of other things. So,
good afternoon. I'm R.C. Samo, founder of Fanboy Nation, Fangirl Nation, and now we recently launched On the Reels, our more mainstream site. I've been covering film and television since 2012 and live theater as well. Originally started covering politics back in 1996 when I was 18 years old, so I've been doing this for 30 years coming this August. I've been working with several film festivals. This is my 5th year covering Dances with Films, and then several other in Southern California, Texas, Florida, Arizona, take your pick. We're here to have a good time. We're here to talk to several of the filmmakers, let you know how to get into festivals, and then get the press on your side to want to review your films. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, excellent. And we'll get started. We've got 3 segments to cover. We're going to start with the submission process and festival strategy. And I'll start with Nancy. Nancy, you spent years helping filmmakers build festival strategies. How would filmmakers decide which festivals to actually go into, and that works with their career goals?
It's a big question, but I know. In order to decide where to apply, and I do recommend that you don't just apply to one festival, it's important first to think about what is your goal for the film. So I'm always asking filmmakers, what are you hoping to achieve by making the film? A lot of times, if it's a short, they're just looking to develop their career. Maybe they're looking to turn the short into a feature. If it's a documentary, sometimes they're looking to change the world, help a cause, get a law passed, or just, it is a variety of things, but it's really important when you're thinking of the festivals to first think about what is your goal for the film. And then also you want to think about what kind of film is it. Obviously certain films, shorts, features, and docs, not all festivals have all types. And then if your film is, let's say, a genre film or a Jewish film, then you're going to think about, okay, what are the specific festivals that can show those types of films? Where and who are the audience for your films is a really important thing. A lot of times I ask that question to filmmakers and they're just like, everybody. I think everyone wants to see my film. It is really not true. You really need to think about who specifically wants to see your film, and then you can figure out where those people live, and that could be a region of the country. I've had films that were like, oh, we want to focus, this is a film for a much older audience. Where do the retired communities, where are they strong? Or what regions, what cities, is it a big city movie, is it a country movie? There's all types of things like that. Where did the film shoot? That is often helpful to figure out where is your audience. Where do you live? So the location aspect is really important. The history of how many films have you made? Do you have any kind of alumni status anywhere? That's also a big key. And not just you as the director, but anyone on your team. What festivals do they know? So those are some of the starting points to help figure out. Obviously, prestige, if you're trying to get into Academy qualifying festivals or festivals that are going to help you find distribution, that's going to be a much more narrow list. But always, you don't want to just apply to Sundance and the top festivals. You need to build a list, building in some festivals that will give you a little bit better chance of success. You don't want to end up with a whole list of rejections.
And aligning the films.
Exactly. Do your research and see, well, what films like this have been made before, and where did they play? A lot of times, especially if it's a rom-com, it's a little bit trickier, but if it's like a documentary, a social justice film or something, you can find some that actually achieved wider distribution and look at their festival history and see what festivals played films like mine in the past. That's another path.
I couldn't have said it better. That's exactly the advice that we give if you're not doing your research. It's the same with reaching out to press, right? It's like, we're not going to hand over our press list because then you're going to email 250 people, of 240 of which are not relevant to you or your film, right? And there's 10,000 plus festivals on Film Freeway, which is like a needle in a haystack, right? So you really have to, how many? Did you say more than that?
No, I just said don't get me started about that.
Yeah.
But beware of Film Freeway. I love Film Freeway. It has revolutionized submissions and it makes it super easy, but you really need to be careful because anyone can sign up for Film Freeway. It seems like there's a really poor vetting process, and so some of those festivals are really not legitimate. So just dig past the page, click on their links, click on their social media, click on their website, see, are they supporting their filmmakers? Do they have social media? What films have they played before? Do they list their staff?
Yeah, you have to do that research. I think we've had this discussion on the board of Film Festival Alliance, which I'm a board member of, and we are talking about, hey, what should we be doing publicly regarding Film Freeway? I think in having conversations with Film Freeway, it's also not their fault, right? There are filmmakers that go play at those festivals, which we all know are garbage, and they're making garbage films. And those festivals play those garbage films. But for them, it's the only festival that's playing their film. So for them, it's a great festival. So it's like, are we then vetting which festivals are legitimate based on our opinions? If this filmmaker has played and had a real film that played it, or they're charging $400 for the award plaque that they win at the festival, and the filmmaker's paying the $400, does that make it an illegitimate festival? So I know Film Freeway is doing its very best to make sure they don't get sued by a festival being taken off for a non-legitimate reason. But I think the team at Film Freeway really does mean well with the vetting process. I think they're just doing the best that they can. And they're constantly in touch with us at Film Festival Alliance to be like, is there anything else we can be doing? But there are 10,000 plus film festivals. Not all of them are great. Not most of them are great. So like what Nancy said is always the advice that we give people, and I think, like you said, asking your friends, but also checking out those Film Freeway reviews to see, are there any mutual filmmakers that I know that have played these, or what's the consensus based on not just what the festival is saying it's doing, but what the filmmakers are actually saying they got out of it. Like Nancy said, if you're going on the festival circuit because you've made this short and your intention is to use it to get a motion picture lit agent at an agency that can really move some of your projects forward, I think those are the things to look for when you're playing at a festival. And also one of the big things is, you mentioned region based on the theme of the film. I think we have all of these filmmakers who ultimately submit and get programmed with us, but they're in places where they're not able to travel, or they never were in a position to be able to travel to the festival. So we have a lot of opportunities for meetings with industry professionals and things like that, that then they miss out on a huge opportunity that they were interested in from the festival, but then cannot participate in person.
Yeah, that actually is a really important point in terms of whenever I build the list. I know, but everyone's got a very limited budget or different limits of the budget, so you really want to keep that in mind. And I always suggest that you just, if you know for sure that you cannot attend a festival, do not apply. Because it's just, there's so much more that can be gained if you actually attend. It's not just about showing up. As you guys are evidence here, this festival is a great example of a festival with a lot of other opportunities. Don't just go to your screening and then leave. Come to these Q&As, speak to the other filmmakers, attend their films, find like-minded people, talk to people at the bar. You just never know who you're going to meet, even the audience who's attending your film afterwards. There's so many opportunities can come from that.
Yeah, from years of doing that and having industry programs, I never would have thought one of the pieces of feedback where people were like, oh, this was one of the really valuable things in addition to meeting people from Focus Features or A24 or Neon, was like the cohort that I built. And then years and years later, 2 people from the festival who built a relationship at the festival making things together, which is another huge benefit.
That's what I see a lot too, is building small groups, and then later we get some successes out of it. Some people get success and pull up their friend, and so nothing is too small to dip into and mingle and spend some time with. RC, let's talk about press a little bit, and I am right there with you. What are some what grabs your attention when you get a request for press?
Being concise. Don't get me 6 paragraphs in and then find out it's a 3-minute short. That's happened. There's been instances, one lady decided that it was a Russian lady, it was a diatribe about how much she hated President Putin for about 2.5 pages, to find out it was a 6-minute claymation short about somebody trying to find their dog. Nothing related to the first 2/3 of the email. And my only reply was, that's great, is this good? So please get to the point in some instances. If it's a political thing, by all means. If it has nothing to do with politics, leave it out. Let me know early on, is this a comedy? Is this a drama? Is this going to be a family film? Something that I'm like, okay, I see where you're going with this. Because if it sounds like a comedy and then I get, again, 5-6 paragraphs in and find out it's a horror, I'm totally thrown off by what I was expecting. Please include a poster and a trailer. Also, don't tell me that this is going to be the greatest film since Casablanca and make you erase Casablanca from your memory. I've gotten those. I wish I was kidding. I did get that one.
Wow.
One person told me about their physical ailments throughout the entire thing. So, going to be the greatest filmmaker, and then found out they were diabetic, anemic, and amputee, and I was just like, my God, I don't know if this is a charity case or if this is for the film. So please be concise, but tell us what the story is about. Grab our attention, make it interesting without overloaded. We don't need a 7-page essay on the background of the film. Hit us up with the one sheet first, and then at the end of the one sheet go, all right, here's the full press release. That way you get our attention right away with about a half page, 3/4 of a page, and then we can continue reading on, not the inverse.
I love that you were like, be concise. You're the nicest person in the world, because you were like 2 paragraphs in. Most journalists would have stopped at like the first paragraph. So you probably have the world's nicest journalist sitting here. No, really, honestly, like friends of mine who are journalists, so like, yeah, if somebody sends me something that I don't know and it's 2-3 paragraphs that are real, actual paragraphs, I'm like, I don't know this person. Who are they? Why are they emailing me thinking I have time to read 3 paragraphs from someone I don't know anything from?
Well, I was really interested in the 6 pages of personal ailments on one, and then their hatred for the Russian president on the other, because I was like, where's this going? I didn't know if it was a documentary, and then just the claymation short put the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Sure,
Working on-
so you're curious, so you're like, what the that's what we do.
I was just going to say that those materials, it's really important for your Film Freeway or whatever platform you use, building those materials, a really quick log line and a longer synopsis that you'll ultimately send to RC. It's really important to work very carefully on those because one, you'll be using them to pitch press, but also they'll end up in the Dances with Films brochure. A lot of festivals don't have the staff to rewrite those synopses. So those are what will get butts in seats or not. So it's really important to think carefully about what you want to say and how to describe your film in a short way that will attract whether a critic or an audience member.
Yeah, for anybody that's played in our festival in the last 10 years, we have like a, 37 response Google form that you have to fill out when you actually get in. And it asks you for things like a short synopsis, a medium synopsis, a long synopsis, at least 3 minimum stills from the film. And another thing, just like on press stuff and pitching press, is like, we'll have Hollywood Reporter or LA Times or whoever writing about the festival, and they're like, can you give us 7 options of stills? So like things like those assets, just building on what Nancy said, are also really important because we'll look at some films that we know are amazing, but the stills are not great, or the quality that they'll upload is like really low. So just like thinking through like your press assets package in general. And I know this is not necessarily press, but like having a filmmaker website just for other opportunities when things come up at the festival and they're like, yo, like where's the 7 successful filmmakers you can send me information on? When I have a filmmaker who has a website where everything's just done in one place where they can find everything out about them is also just really helpful in general.
Yeah.
That's a way of vetting the quality of your filmmaker.
Oh, absolutely. We want to make sure that you get the press that you deserve, because if you have a great film and a horrible press package and you don't get to the point right away, we're just going to skip you.
Yeah, a good still can really make the difference, especially if you're like in a shorts block. A lot of times they'll just have room for one to represent the entire shorts block. If your still is that one that's really going to be captured, that is just a beautiful still, that's going to be the one that gets coverage. And then when they're reading the article in the LA Times or whatever, they'll see your photo. So it's really important. More important, I would say, than a poster, which you don't have to do until later or never.
A lot of filmmakers think that getting accepted into the festival is the finish line, but there's a lot more after that. What is the biggest mistake filmmakers make after they get in? And I'm going to start with Nancy.
Well, I would say once you get in, that's really where the job begins about preparing for it. There's a lot of things you can do, but you don't want to just show up to your screening. First of all, I would definitely speak to the festival staff, whatever staff you can, get to know the programmers, reach out, see if there's a person handling PR, just get to know the different people. Pitch yourself, oh, are there any panels that I can be on? Are there any other opportunities to get involved? Find out what different, is there a lounge? Is there a happy hour? And what are the different things going on at the festival? And show up not just for your screening, but if you can, days in advance. Usually the opening night is the biggest opportunity for a reception afterwards, the high profile people that might be there. So if you can get there early and stay, that's a great opportunity to be talking about your film in the days before your film starts. Show up to the festival with a card promoting your film. I was so pleased to see so many people with these cards at this particular festival, whether they're at the box office table or mostly you want to keep them with you also and give them to people. Hey, have you seen come to see my film? It's Monday. It's just a great talking point. You can put the screening information on the back of it or just a QR code that goes to your website. But it's just much more memorable than if you just tell someone and then they leave and they just don't remember who you are or what your film is.
Can you talk about audience engagement once you're there?
How to get audience?
Audience engagement, like sitting on a panel after your viewing, after the showing, or...
Oh, you mean the Q&A after your film?
Yeah.
Sure, like how to prepare for it?
Yeah, how to prepare for it, how to even get that to happen with the programmers.
Most festivals, either they have Q&As after screenings or they don't, so it's definitely good to find out in advance and also find out what the limits are. Like If you can't generally bring 10 people up on stage for your Q&A, they want to know who, and then you want to tell your cast that you can't come for the Q&A, but you can stand up and wave or something like that. So you just want to keep expectations of your team in order and make sure that you find out in advance what's happening for the Q&A. It's great if you can speak to the person in advance. Some festivals allow you to pick your own moderator. Some festivals do not, but if you have, I've worked with documentaries where they know a high-profile critic or something who can then lead that Q&A and help bring a great audience by having a really professional moderator. Some festivals are more particular about we use our own programmers or something, so that's the kind of thing that you want to ask in advance of the Q&A as well. Okay. Larry, anything to add?
Yeah, I would say we were having a discussion backstage, all of us, with Leslie about festival preparation, and I understand that Dances with Films is one of the festivals like us that does an orientation with its filmmakers to make sure we talk about certain things that are going to happen in advance of the festival on our side that you need to know about, but also things that you should be doing on your side to prep for the festival. That would be things like thinking about how you're going to generate press, thinking about how you're going to do outreach, questions you have for us about outreach. We actually worked with Nancy the last month and a half, really, for a film that played with us, Mistake, feature last Friday. And I think Sunil is sitting right there, who, I don't know if you guys knew each other before, but Nancy and I have known each other for 15 years at least, minimum. And Sunil and I have known each other for what, 6 months? A year? More? 2 years? 3 years. But one of the things that filmmakers will often ask us is, should I hire a publicist? And we're like, that's a loaded question because publicists generally cost a significant amount of money. It's a big investment for you, especially if you've made a short or you've made a really low budget feature. We sometimes see that it works out really well. We sometimes see that it didn't. Sunil, I think we added you to our list of recommendations maybe about a year ago, and you probably got a few calls, and I think maybe Honey is one of the first people that worked with you, and I would say it was a huge success. They got a Deadline article last week. They got for anybody who's LGBTQ plus or adjacent allies, they got a nice Queerty article, which Queerty has a huge online social media following. The film is an LGBTQ plus film. The filmmaker is not an LGBTQ plus filmmaker. So I think really making sure you're doing the prep to maximize things. And then on the audience engagement side, I would say over the years, I'd say filmmakers who do successful in engaging with people at the festival, whether that's on stage during a Q&A or otherwise, are filmmakers who have thought through the mission of what they're trying to accomplish with their content, whether that is just something funny and gimmicks or shticks related to the funniness of the film. I don't remember at Sundance the walking toilet for that outhouse toilet movie, but that came up and joined them on the Q&A. Or if it's something like you said, like to change legislation or something a little bit more serious or a social impact film, okay, there's your opportunity, but have I thought through my action items of how I'm actually going to move the needle with what my purpose is with the film when I'm there on the ground?
Thank you. I want to talk more about press and the quality of press. And Larry, you and I had an interesting conversation a couple days ago about press and either asking them to cover everything or really targeting your press and the quality of them. So I want you to talk about that. But speaking of gimmicks, I'm a sucker for gimmicks, and I will cover the opening night orange carpet, some of the things that stand out. And the people walking that I really wanted to talk to was a stuffed, almost taxidermy-like prop from the film, a dog on a rolling, it was very strange looking, with a cigarette in his mouth. So of course I had to interview the dog before the people. And the Tiki movie, they walked around with the Tiki mugs that were spokespeople in their film, which is a documentary. And yeah.
By the way, that is a fantastic documentary about the Tiki mugs.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm covering that one.
I got to see it a little bit earlier, and they actually hold your attention for an hour and 40 minutes about tiki mugs. And you are really excited to learn about these mugs and how they became this staple of the 50s and 60s and now have this resurgence right now. So yeah, you're in good company with that one.
And look how it's a little corny, but it got our attention. The crew, everyone wore tiki Hawaiian shirts, kind of tacky and loud, but they stood out. They hosted a bar and press night at a tiki lounge off-site. So they really are a standout, even though it's just, they need to grab our attention, I think. And so, RC, what's some other things that grab your attention when you get press releases or even around the table?
Authenticity is a big one. There was one film festival I used to go to. I still go to it, but I don't want to drop their name because Dances with Films has been so good to me that I don't want to take attention away from them, is the fact that I'd go to the Filmmakers Lounge and I'd just hang out. And I'd see how people behaved outside the lounge versus how they behaved inside the lounge. And I've literally had people come up to me, because I turned my badge around so you couldn't see that it was press. And one lady walked up to me, turned the badge around, and goes, "Oh, I should talk to you." And I just pulled the badge out of her hand and said, "No, you shouldn't." And I walked away. Be authentic and be genuine. If you're a jerk, I get it. If you're having a bad day, that's one thing. But also have some decency and common decorum. I like to sit around, see how people interact and behave. I'll hang out in those lounges. And when I get to start talking to filmmakers, even if I hadn't thought about seeing their film, now I'll make a special consensus to see their film. And if I can't see it because of scheduling conflict, I'll ask for a screener to be sent to me to do so.
Yeah, I do the same thing. When that press junket, they have one-on-one, small, real quick interviews set up in this room. And sometimes I'll interview filmmakers and I haven't been assigned to review their film, but they're so compelling, and when they tell me the story, that the act of creating the film, which is, I find, sometimes more interesting than the film, then I'll go and request to review that film. So having some real time with the press, other than just sending out just mass requests for coverage, is helpful.
It's nice to know that you guys take pitches. I know a lot of critics, I guess they just get inundated that it's hard as a filmmaker to approach them. But generally, in terms of that, it is, publicists are a cost that not everyone can afford. If it's your world premiere and it's a prestigious festival, I do think it's absolutely critical to have that money. And oftentimes you can go back, if you get into something like a Sundance or Tribeca, you can usually go back to the people who gave you the money for the film in the first place and go back and do another round of fundraising just for that, for the costs of attending that festival and getting press, because it's going to make such a bigger impact if you do get coverage at it. If you don't have the budget and it's a small regional festival, it's usually not too difficult to find out what are the local papers, what are the local radio stations, and just develop your own, do your own round of pitching, where if it's a local story or you've got some interesting angle, then they'd love to cover it. So it really just depends on what the festival is, how big it is, and how big the town or city is that you're in.
I wanted to ask that if you don't have the funds for a publicist or PR person, is there another route?
Research. Yeah, doing research. You can go through, what we train people to do is go through the article feeds in Variety, look at articles that are similar to who you are as a filmmaker and headline, like the things that they're covering. Maybe they're heavily LGBTQ+. When you click that journalist, I always like to give the example of a friend of mine is Jazz 10K at Variety. If you look at what Jazz is covering, it's a lot of artisan awards related stuff, but then there's a bunch of RuPaul's Drag Race and LGBTQ+, and so you're like, oh, okay, Jazz wants to support the LGBTQ+ community, LGBTQ+ storytelling, and I think I flagged Jazz for you, Sunil, for that film? Yeah. And Sunil knows everybody anyway. But yeah, you can really start to see Clayton Davis, I'm sure, at Variety, and like there's an affinity towards wanting to support Latino-led projects and Latino-themed projects. And you can find what a journalist's sort of personal affinity is by just doing that research. I pitched somebody recently at the LA Times, and I saw that they were covering a lot of entertainment business, specifically incentive-related stuff. So there are definitely ways to think about, okay, like I shot my film in the Dominican Republic, I got a tax incentive there. How do I look for journalists who are covering things related to productions that were made with tax incentives? And there's really creative ways to go about doing it. And I think you talked about some of those ways just when you were talking about research for what festivals are right for you. It's the same kind of research, but just what journalists are right for you.
Yeah, and a lot of festivals will give out lists if you ask nicely, of who's covering the festival this year. And if they say, we don't have a list, who covered it last year? Look to see what journalists were accredited, and you can usually get a list.
And that's how I get pitches, is we're on the list. And of all the films, how many films do we have this year, Leslie? 250, I think it was. And then my editor sends them to me. I specialize in documentary, and I do LGBTQ plus content, and among other things, but I like those two especially. And a lot of people don't pitch us. A lot of people won't send, and often they don't have their own press agent, but they send a little note themselves. And some people just don't. But of course, we'll only respond to the people that do, and then always put a trailer, because I look at the trailer, and if I'm interested, because in order to motivate me to write something good and creative, I have to be interested in the piece. And then we've got several journalists covering film festivals, and specifically this one. So what I don't cover, my colleague Juan will cover, or someone else will cover, and so we spread them out. But I do mostly what I'm interested in.
You did, by the way, I didn't get a chance to tell you, you
What?
did a wonderful review of the film that I was here with, The Righteous Road Trip.
Oh,
Yeah. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Good. Yeah. See,
There was a publicist
it
that was pitching her,
important.
not me.
Yeah. If I fall in love, look at there. It's showing right now.
That's so
That's
funny.
good. See, because it's a documentary. Yay. I know. Okay. Let's see some follow-up questions. Oh, so let's talk about Academy Qualifying Festival. What does that designation mean, and is it always the best choice? And let's go with Larry.
Okay, Nancy, is this festival Academy qualifying?
No.
No. Do you guys like this festival? Yes. I think it's a really good festival.
Yeah.
But I cannot tell you how many filmmakers are like, yeah, I just went through Film Freeway and submitted to the Academy qualifying ones. I'm like, oh my God. I'm sure that most of them, if not all of them, are good or quality, but that is not a festival strategy at all whatsoever. And so many filmmakers miss the really good ones because they're like, I only looked at the Academy qualifying festivals. If you speak with people that work at the Academy who work on the Academy qualifying festivals list, they're like, oh yeah, we vetted that one because we were looking for a festival just in that region, period. We didn't have any. That was the criteria. Or, yeah, that one that we know in LA that's not really good, that's qualifying, we're not gonna say the name. It's had its designation for 25 years, but yeah, we don't really want it to have that anymore. I don't think that's a really good strategy in general. I'm not saying that those are not good festivals. Obviously, a lot of them are super, super great festivals, a majority of them, but there are a lot of really great festivals like this one, the one that I work at, and others that are also really good, and a lot of times better than a lot of the festivals on that list.
Yeah, once you're on that list, I think it's hard to come off, although they have taken some off recently, thank goodness.
Any LA ones?
Not that I know of, but there was one I was waiting to come off, and it finally came off. But yeah, it's not necessarily the best festivals or the best fit, because it's so much about fit. It's like, just because it's a good festival doesn't mean it's going to show your film, so it's not just about the top festivals. And also remember that festival, you have to actually win in your category to qualify. It's not just you get in and then you qualify. You have to win the short narrative competition, which is impossible anyway. So just getting into that festival, yes, it looks good because it's a prestigious festival, but the Academy qualification part, it's much easier as a short to just do an Academy qualifying run than submit to 50 Academy qualifying festivals and try to win one.
I think I broke my mic.
Oh.
Oh no.
You can share mine.
Okay, look at, we have.
And also, that is a huge thing that filmmakers don't understand. They don't understand. They think that, oh, I'm qualified because I'm playing at a qualifying festival. And it's like, no, you have to win the qualifying award. So yeah, just doubling down on not the best strategy.
So let's talk about the finish line. If a film gets into the festival, does a good job, but doesn't land a distributor, what next? I was thinking,
Sure.
let's do.
It's not all about distribution first. There's so many things that can be gained by playing in a festival that are not getting A24 to buy your film. First of all, reviews, great reviews by these wonderful publications, building a community of other filmmakers, finding financiers, making relationships. There's so many other things that can happen that it's really, I hope that for most of you, it's not just, oh, I'm just doing this to get sold, because there's really a lot. And what I found in the last few years anyway, with the distribution situation so broken, is that many filmmakers are getting a lot of joy out of using the festival circuit as their theatrical distribution. By playing in 50 festivals across the country or the world, having these wonderful packed audiences, standing ovations, Q&As, awards, and great reviews, and then after that going on a digital platform. So it's no longer, distributors aren't really buying and paying a lot of money up front and giving you a big theatrical. So you can do your theatrical by yourself, or even book your own theaters and then go up on a platform, which anybody can.
Absolutely. Tubi's huge. Tubi's huge.
Yes.
Tubi was bought for what, $750 million or something, or something like that. No, but it was $700 million, something like that. After Fox sold to Disney for 4-point-something billion, and they have indie films, B movies, first-run films. People are gaga for it. Yeah. You can use a sign-in, so you can set up your own queue, or you can just watch without signing in and pick anything at random. And every independent filmmaker I know that went between Amazon and Tubi makes more money through the advertisement off of Tubi than they do on Amazon. So there's those options as well. There's those free streaming platforms. Tubi, Mubi, what's the other one? Pluto. I think Pluto now has on-demand stuff. So there's a million places where you can go for the distribution, and there's a lot of stuff that we end up finding that way as well.
What about YouTube?
A lot of people have been going on YouTube. I know professional comedians that have bypassed Netflix and Amazon and everybody else and just put the special up there, and because they're already monetized and they have a fan base, people will just keep resharing, did you see this comedy show? And Rumble, YouTube, those guys will sit there and make their cash back off of it.
And how are they monetized? Through
advertisements on there, and sometimes special sponsors.
So the viewer, the audience, doesn't pay?
Yeah, it's free on YouTube, and then they have that membership thing, but most people don't post their entire special or film on there, and it just keeps moving that way. You have a lot of options for distribution now, so take advantage of those. It's not always the traditional way to do it, and then sometimes, I just interviewed a guy out of the UK that's doing an entire streaming platform for short films. So I'll have to remember his name, and I'll get it to Leslie for the short film people if they want to try to distribute to him.
But you just have to be careful in your timing of it, because you don't want to immediately, a lot of festivals will disqualify you or not let you be in competition, or not let you know there's specific rules. So just make sure you check the eligibility. You can always go on the platform, but if you are interested in doing the festival run, then you want to do that first.
Yeah, and the long game, it may not be good for that. Go ahead.
I think just be careful as well. I can't tell you how many disappointed filmmakers we've had come through the festival who later on will tell us, oh, I went with this platform, nothing happened, and it was exclusive. And I think you really have to be careful of that with AVOD platforms, because for anybody who has a smart TV, which is all of us, I think, if you are on Roku and you start looking in the app store that's available on Amazon Fire Stick or a Roku or any of those devices or platforms, you'll start to see a million different movie channels that are AVOD platforms, and there's a new one every day. And every day as a festival, we get an email for 300 days out of the year, I'm not kidding, we get them, and we've been getting them for 7 years. And we started to kind of experiment, recommending some of them in the beginning, and we had so many filmmakers that were just like, oh, dude, it was a total waste of my time. I spent a week doing their onboarding process and changing things with my film relative to the native format that they needed it and the requirements and blah, 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 blah. And ultimately, I've never made money from it ever. And so I just think there's a balance between that. And you're hearing a lot of people now talking about distribution of, it's all about monetizing your content by yourself and building up your YouTube channel. I do agree with it doesn't hurt to put a little effort into trying to figure out building your audience, but not everybody is a YouTuber. And not everybody is going to be making the kind of content that latches on and catches fire on YouTube. And you hear these success stories of someone like, what's his name? I'm so bad, Markiplier. yeah, am I saying it right? Who made his film, and it made a bunch of money. Yeah, it made a bunch of money. He has a huge following on YouTube, and also, is the film any good? I don't think it is. From the trailer, I didn't watch the movie, but it doesn't look great. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But he had a following to get that audience out there, but also I feel like it's working the wrong way to be like, okay, let me go chase that, building an audience. I'm a filmmaker, because that's really hard to do.
Also, can I add one more thing to that as well? For submission as well, make sure that the film festivals are spread out enough. Like Newport, San Diego, and Catalina film festivals are all running within 3 weeks of each other. And if you get into Newport, Catalina and San Diego don't want to look at you, and they're like, why did you apply to us if you applied to them first, and vice versa. So if Catalina's in, say, October, don't apply to Newport, which is at the end of October, apply somewhere else, or Palm Springs or something, or Arizona or Phoenix, because that way you spread it out a little bit more instead of trying to get it too clustered. Plus, also, if someone already saw it, say here at Dances with Films, they're not going to want to go see it at a film festival in Burbank in 3 months. So just spread it out a little bit more when you're looking at festivals.
Can I get a time check? 5:20, okay. We're gonna 5:25. Okay. We are going to start going to Q&A. Oh, yeah. Let me make sure we have all our big questions. We talked about distribution. Oh, let's talk about grants, labs, and other opportunities that if we don't have huge banks.
Yeah, I'll do the quick version of it. I think most of our communities, whether it's Dances with Films or New Filmmakers or Women in Film or any organization that's in the film space, we're all pretty good about sharing those opportunities collectively on our social media pages. Nancy, you're really great at sharing those opportunities. Yeah, Nancy's
every Thursday I post a filmmaker opportunity, and it's great. I'm always looking out for what are different things, whether it's docs or shorts or women filmmakers. So they're out there, and some of them are like a lot of money too. So got to be in it.
Yeah, so just pay attention to that and look at what are those organizations or who are those people that are sharing those opportunities regular, and make sure you're paying attention, because even in the nonprofit space that we work in as festivals, it's really hard to just make sure you're paying attention all the time so you don't miss those things. And I find the filmmakers who are hustling the hardest, aka paying the most attention, are the ones who are often getting those, and they're also the filmmakers that are not being the loudest, but being like the most strategic about how they're making sure they get in front of people who have a say in possibly picking who is getting those grants, just making sure their work is on their radar, because a lot of it is advocacy. It's not favoritism. It's like, hey, I know you're getting a lot of stuff. I want to make sure you're familiar with who I am. So I think that's also an important piece of it.
Yeah, I can see that. So we have 4 professionals who are completely supporting you and available and helping you navigate things. And we've talked a lot of strategy, but we want to make it specific to your film. So we've got 2 mics set up in the room, one here. Oh, and also pass. So let's open it up to Q&A. Thanks.
Hey everybody, great panel. What should filmmakers be doing with their social media, either ongoing or especially during a festival, as like their own free promotion, because that doesn't require hiring a publicist?
I really believe that social media is important. I get a lot of pushback sometimes by filmmakers saying, oh, people told me not to start the social media yet. I fully believe that you should start your social media as you're making your movie, and getting photographers to take that content that you can use later and spread it out. Because when you post that you got into Dances with Films, if you don't have any followers, nobody's going to see that post. So I think it's really important to start very early and ask your entire team. Filmmaking is a group effort. It's not just one person. So think about all those different people that help make that movie. You want to be supporting them in your social media and getting them to share, and that's just going to how it's going to grow exponentially when you do have something to announce. At the festival or leading up to the festival, you want to do a countdown and be posting much more regularly once you need to wait until you are allowed to announce. That's really important. You don't want to do that before the festival says it's okay. But I do think it's really exciting to do things like showing little video clips of your audience, of the crowds, of the Q&A, and stuff like that. You can take those photos and bank them too and use them later in the coming weeks as you just spread it out. It doesn't just have to be today if your screening is today.
Yeah, I think on that, one of the things that I've seen that we always tell filmmakers not to do it when they get in our festival is add us as a collaborator on posts that they're doing either leading up or during. But we do that because we don't want our social media person feeling pressured into making too many posts about one film that feels unfair to another film, and then we have to do it times 10 for 15 films and it's just too many posts. But I would say to do it anyway, because we can always just say no. And actually, many times filmmakers are doing it anyway in our festival, and we deny a bit of them, but also we accept some because we're like, oh, that's really great content and it looks great and it's gonna amplify the film in a way that our social media person would have never thought about amplifying the film. And then another really cool thing I've seen them doing is adding us as collaborators with really cool content on the spot, like right here, right now. And then it's, oh, this is really great. This is gonna generate awareness for them. It's gonna generate awareness for us. And it hasn't just been our festival that started doing it. I've been seeing Movie Maker magazine, for example, they have actually been adding, they had their cover story this month was like DC Comics or something, and they added DC Comics as a collaborator and they accepted, and that post has exponentially more likes and views than regular Instagram posts that they do. So I think strategically about, okay, who that's in my sphere might want to partner up with me on a collaborative post about this, or the festival that has a lot of followers, because the thing is with a festival, Dances with Films, anybody, is like they're really tapped in to the film community broadly. So it's always helpful to have the festival posting something about you or collaborating on something. But yeah, like publications, people of influence that have large followings, like for one of the films this month, I think it might have been Honey's film, like somebody came and they were like, oh, I know the one actor who's in the film and I saw online that they were coming, so I came. So you never know.
So I have a question following up on what you said about multiple festivals in the same region. We applied actually to San Diego and Catalina because we have such a strong base in San Diego. The San Diego International is our top choice, with Catalina being a B choice. How would you suggest we navigate it if, say, we got into Catalina before we heard back from San Diego, but we still want to hold out for San Diego International?
I have this situation all the time. I actually just had this situation, and I didn't want to disagree with you, but since you never know where you're going to get in, it's okay to apply to several festivals in a region because they're only taking 5% of the submissions, so it's like
It makes
there's
for
going to
good
be a lot of
banter.
rejection. Nobody
That's
want to be
good.
like, no, that's wrong.
Just stuff I've heard from the offices, that's why.
Yeah. So which is your preferred festival?
So San Diego International is
Yeah.
our preferred.
Yeah.
Catalina would be kind of a B option.
Yeah.
Both being kind of San Diego area.
Yeah.
San Diego International takes place
In
after.
October. Yeah.
And we have communication with the festival programmer. We have an in with San Diego International, so we're hopeful there. But I'm more concerned about like how we would communicate that. Say we got into Catalina, we know we could fill theaters in both festivals. But San Diego prefers premieres, or at least holding off in the San Diego area. So my question's more for communication. How would we navigate communicating with the festival programmer that's like, hey, we got into Catalina, we're willing to hold it, we would still like to participate, but is this going to disqualify us?
That's exactly what you do, especially
You know?
it sounds like you're already talking with them. But yeah, I just had this situation where it's a film from Australia and we're looking for the North American premiere, and we got some early acceptances from some festivals in October that were good festivals. One was a doc festival and one was a just regular festival, and that was in September. But it wasn't our first choice, and we really wanted to go to one of the larger ones on the list, either Newport Beach or one of the other ones. So I just said, thank you very much for the invitation. I need to speak with the filmmaker. And then we reached out to the ones that we cared about a little bit more, those top 4, and said, look, we just got into these other, or you don't even have to say the name of it. We got into another festival. It's a few weeks before yours, but we'd be absolutely willing to hold off on the world premiere or the X premiere if you'd be willing to give us an early decision. Sometimes, if it's close enough, October and September is very close, you can usually get an answer before. The notification date is, you can definitely find out before the notification date. What's tricky is when it's several months later. I've had a film get into Santa Barbara, and then we're holding for Tribeca, And to get Tribeca to give you the answer before you need to tell Santa Barbara is a harder thing to do. But a 1 month difference, you should absolutely just be upfront. Festivals like when you tell them that they're your first choice and you're willing to hold a premiere for them. But you may not need to hold a premiere. You may be able to do both. If you can say, we know we're going to pack the house in San Diego, even if we play in Catalina, it's not really the same audience. Catalina is very specific niche audience. And
I would double down on that version of it because there's very few people that are going to both of those same two festivals.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
next
Catalina
question.
also these days is doing a lot of their screenings online, so even if they give you an invitation, if it's not an actual theater invitation, I would turn it down.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, another question here. Yeah, with the glasses on the head.
Hi, thank you so much also for touching on the YouTube thing and that it's not for everybody. I think it's something that is oftentimes dismissed, so thank you for acknowledging it. I wanted to ask, how can filmmakers get more transparency from the festivals when they apply and they get that very generic rejection letter that feels like it's being copied and pasted? What would it take to receive at least one word of...
Can I take this?
I'm gonna finish my question and then I will give you the mic. Thank you, Leslie. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Yes, stand up. Okay. So at least getting one word of what didn't work. Did you stop at 1 second of the film so I know that my opening is weak? Did it just straight up suck? You don't even have to be polite. You don't have to write me an essay, but just one word.
That's because you're nice, and most people are not like you, and most people cannot take rejection in any form of it.
Absolutely true.
Hey, we have tried, and it just opens up a very unproductive, wasteful time of our time that just goes fucking nowhere. Excuse my French. And you're the 2% of filmmakers that could maybe handle feedback. Most people say they want feedback, but once they get it, they're like, that's not true. That's not. Also, it is subjective. I may like the film, the programming director may not like the film, the screeners who screened it may hate it. So it's really hard to do that at a festival when you're trying to use resources constructively that are very limited because we're very small,
Yes, we are.
very volunteer primarily led organizations that are nonprofits, and I wish that I had a better answer than that, but being a festival that I know doesn't give feedback for that reason, I could tell you that's the reason why we don't, and I think you're seconding
But
that.
every festival's going to be different. With Dances with Films, though, obviously you got into the festival, so you didn't get one of our pass letters. We do not call them rejections because it didn't fit, and that fit could literally be because of the length of the film, and we couldn't get it crammed in to make a 90-minute or an 85-minute block. So we have to take all of that into consideration. But what we do and have done since year one, because we had that generic email coming to Michael and I with our film, and we hated it because did you see it? So what we do is we send with our pass letters, we send actually 1 to 2 positive comments so that you know that we saw your film. And we find that very important because we are very respectful of our filmmakers who submit. We understand, and we also were like scrounging for pocket change to be able to submit to a festival. So we're very adamant about that, but we are very truthful and we try to be as transparent as possible. If you want to have an overview, email us, and then we would say, look, we're really super busy. Email us after the festival. We're happy to give you our full onslaught of what everybody thought about it. And sometimes, guys, it's not pretty. Just like Larry was saying. And you have to be able to go, okay, I want to learn from this. But I will say we get more thank yous for our pass letters than I think any other festival possibly gets. And filmmakers who go, I really appreciated that you did that, and I went and I made this new one, and then they submit it, and it gets in. So it is definitely, take it with a grain of salt. You can throw things away, whatever it may be, but absolutely ask for it if you can handle it.
And that was Leslie, co-founder of Dances with Films, a quality film festival.
Oh my God, look at this. How long do you guys want to go? Look at this line.
Okay, one question each, fast, and answers quickly, please.
Okay, thanks for being here. Quick question. What's the difference between a filmmaker emailing you to try and get an article compared to a publicist who you don't know? What's the advantage of having a publicist perhaps that doesn't have the relationships? Is there a thing they write in the subject matter? Does it matter if it comes from a publicist or a filmmaker?
The publicists that we have relationships with, we do give priority, but a filmmaker, as far as my pass, it's the same as a regular publicist. Maybe not for my editor, but she feeds them to me. But if I'm interested in the content, or if there's something interesting about it to me, I would like to cover it.
Same. Just keep it. Same. Just keep it professional. Like Teri said, the publicists that we have relationships with do tend to get priority. I'm going to open up NBC's email before something at AOL.com, and there are people that still use AOL. But just make it professional, make it intriguing. Go, hi, I'm the person behind the film. This is our social media. That way I can go look at your social media and see what it is, versus you sending me a hyperlink and then it could have been a virus or something. So just keep it professional. Do a quick one sheet, and if the trailer's there, that's great, but put the links in so we can go search for it ourselves as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Hey, RC. Good to see you.
Good seeing you too.
He did an interview and reviewed our film. It's playing Sunday, 3 p.m.
Good.
Dave versus Hollywood. No, I'm kidding.
Good job.
Souvenir.
My question is, we had the good luck of having a clip that we posted go relatively viral relative to our follower count and the newness of the account. It got a lot of views, which is great. I felt a little unsure on the best way for us to capitalize on that, so I wonder if you could speak to that.
First of all, go see Souvenir this weekend. It is a fun, dark comedy, so you'll enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
And to capitalize on it, a couple of more reshares, talk to your friends and have them start spreading the word as well. That's one way to do it. Talk to people here as well.
Is your film Souvenir?
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw that. I just finished it today.
Oh.
Yeah, that's really
I hope you enjoyed it.
interesting. Yeah, really good. I am reviewing it.
Oh, great. We should talk.
Good.
I just had
Do you
to
take
like
cash?
get the wrong film title.
Okay.
All right.
Anyone else? All right, next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. I'm an independent producer doing DIY press for my film. I had a quick question. How many times is annoying to follow up on a press inquiry email?
So, what's that?
2 or 3.
Two or three?
About 2 or 3.
2 is good.
Yeah.
3
Okay.
is annoying.
All-
Little, but you can get away with it.
Okay.
Also, the other one is don't keep re-forwarding the original email.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
send
I-
a new email every time. But I'm just wondering how many times do you get an email and find it annoying?
I usually respond to almost all of them just because I like independent films. The title of the website's Fanboy Nation, so I'm a film fanboy. I love film. But you also have to be professional with it. If you're going to sit there and I wasn't being hyperbolic when someone said this is the greatest film since Casablanca. I don't put it over that hard, but make it intriguing, and I'll let you know if it's going to be as, look, this doesn't really fit my genre or my taste, but if you have something else in the future, I'll let you know.
I asked because I sent about 200 emails and I got about 2 responses, which is normal, but I'm just wondering how many times to follow up and then it being like too many times.
More than 3, yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here. In your opinion, what is the advantage of submitting to regional festivals and reaching out to press for those regional festivals that you might not be interested in making movies in those regions, or you might not be interested in living in those regions? What would you say is the advantage of still submitting and going to those festivals?
None if you don't have a reason. So just going back to what Nancy said at the beginning, which was the first question, like how do you choose a festival? I think you should not choose a festival, A, because you gotta pay to submit to most festivals, which already costs you money. But then B, as we talked about, you want to attend the festivals that you're actually gonna get into. But C, because you want to attend festivals that you actually are looking to get something out of specifically. So whether that thing is press from that festival or relationships with industry professionals from that festival, or you want a really good audience ride for your film on the festival circuit with as many eyeballs as possible and really big screening venues, really nice screening venues. You kind of got to figure out what is your driving thing of why you're playing at festivals, and that should really dictate which festivals you're applying to in the first place.
Thank you.
And I think this is last one.
Hi. First of all, excellent panel. Thank you for your time. I just wanted to ask, when submitting to Film Freeway, which is the first window for our films, what are the big do's and don'ts? Or what do you like when you submit, when you see a film through Film Freeway? What are the things that you say, okay, this is going to be a very good film? And the contrary, when you see a film submitted through Film Freeway, the red flags that you see on that.
For me, I always encourage filmmakers to fill everything out because it really, when the page is empty, if they're not putting their bio, they're not putting, it just looks like they don't care. So I think it's really important. Also, like I said earlier, to come up with a really clever short logline. Film Freeway only has a space for synopsis, but I always put in both a short logline and a synopsis just into that one block, because then you just have a quick one-liner and the synopsis. I would always put bio, fill in everything, your bio, and I also really believe in cover letters. I know these things are all optional, a lot of people don't fill them in, but I think it's a really great way to show the festival that you care a lot about that particular festival, that you can mention either location connections, alumni connections, mention something about your cast is willing to come, or anything that they might not know just from watching the film. At the end of the day, the film is the most important thing, and if they fall in love with the film, they'll maybe not care that your Film Freeway page wasn't great, but that's your first impression. Usually they'll look at that first and then click on the link. Another thing is not putting any photos, I think, is a mistake. I think it's important to have a couple. Sometimes publicists will tell you don't let out 10 photos. I think they have a cap of 9 on Film Freeway. Yeah. So as long as you have at least one good photo, I think that's important. You don't need to fill in all 9. Yeah, that's.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let's just go and...
We have one more, actually.
Okay.
Quick
hi.
question. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the panel. It's been really great. This is actually my monster from my movie that I brought to the fest. So you said gimmicks. I've got a gimmick right here.
Oh.
It's screening on Saturday. We're bringing the creature to the red carpet. So please come to our red carpet.
You will
on
all
Saturday.
remember
What's the
him
film
now.
called?
Yes, we will.
It's called Mimic, and it's a movie about how creatures mimic people. So see if our creature mimics you on our carpet on Saturday.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, question is, have you ever had people or filmmakers reach out to press after the screening is over? Maybe you have a proof of concept short, but you're trying to get the word out. We're making a feature. Usually most of the momentum's leading up to the screening of the short, but how do you be strategic about getting buzz in regards to another project post the festival screening?
In my opinion, it has to be timely. So pick either a world event, a critical social event, or a cultural event that makes that point that you're making timely now, and then we'll pick it up.
I'll give an example. You can Google "When Big People Lie" deadline. There's an article by a really awesome filmmaker who we've supported, Gianfranco Fernandez Ruiz. I don't know how he did it, but you could read the article and probably figure out what was the angle. He got Deadline and this is a short film, When Big People Lie. He got Deadline way after their festival circuit was over to write a gigantic article about the film. So I would look at that as a case study of what did the short film do, what was the angle of what the reporter wrote about, and maybe that could give you some ideas.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to ask each of us to tell us all how we can get a hold of each other, share that, and even though the panel conversation is over, we're going to hang out for about 10 minutes so we can exchange information and answer a couple more questions. For myself, I'm from the Hollywood Times, and my name is Teri Kinne, and I'm local. I'm a writer and journalist and an event producer.
How to get in touch with us?
Yeah.
You can go to my website, cinemacollet.com. I prefer email to Instagram DMs because I just don't read them very much, but you can find my email on my website.
Or Nancy's cell phone number is, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, my email's on our website, the NewFilmmakers LA website. Don't Instagram us because you'll get an auto reply that says we don't monitor Instagram messages, but yeah, my email's on our website.
But you can follow me, just don't message me.
Yeah.
You can email me and DM me on Instagram, but also info@Fanboy Nation. You can hit up Info at Fangirl Nation if you want a more female-driven audience. Victoria Irwin will answer you over there. You can find me as fanboynation.com, fangirlnation.com. We did a soft launch on the Reels, so that's on Substack right now, so you can go there. Talk to me afterwards, and we'll hang out a little bit, and I can be primed with peanut M&Ms.
Good. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.